Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when this video finds you. My name is Ian Giddings. I am part of the Jones & Bartlett Learning and Public Safety Group sales team, and it is my utmost pleasure today to walk you through the new Navigate release coming in late July of 2020. Navigate is a new and enhanced version of the current Navigate 2 learning management system. While we have added some helpful new features that made changes to the user interface to make it cleaner, more attractive, and easier to use, we have also stayed true to the foundational core of Navigate 2. All functions and tools that you're familiar with and comfortable using have not changed. Your current courses, including their customizations of assignments, quizzes, your own files, and organization, will have simply be given a facelift and display in our new interface, which I'm about to show you now. Once you become accustomed with where your links and tools are that you currently use and access, you'll quickly begin to enjoy the ease and speed offered by this new and improved interface. One thing that's important to note is the My Account page that we're looking at now has not changed and will not change. The same Products tab, Learners tab, and Account tab are there, as well as how your courses are displayed and accessed. So I will launch the course the same way that I do for Navigate 2. And just like Navigate 2, you'll be brought to the course homepage or front page. And this is where we are now. So this is the new look and feel of the Navigate iteration coming your way in July. You'll notice first, likely that the tab navigation that you're familiar with in Navigate 2, meaning the Lessons tab, Learning Tools, Teaching Tools, and Reports and Grades, are no longer displayed at the top of the page. Many of those navigation options have now been moved and consolidated into the left-hand side menu here, which is your navigation drawer or menu. The word drawer comes from its functionality because it is collapsible. So I can expand and collapse this menu of items and navigate to those areas of the course however I prefer. This top menu button, which displays the name of my course, is a button that will always get you back to the same course homepage that we're looking at now. So whenever in doubt, if you're ever lost in the courseware, can't find your way back, this navigation menu will always display this course homepage button, allowing you to return to the homepage. Course participants is formerly known as enrolled users. Participants used to be located in the admin menu that was located at the top of the page in Navigate 2 to the right. Many of those same settings options have now been moved and consolidated into the Actions menu, an effective replacement for that admin menu. So if I click on that gear icon, it'll give me a drop-down menu of those common settings that I could access, and I can click the More option here to see all those settings consolidated to one page. And then I can use that button for my home page in the navigation drawer here to return back to home base. So participants, now much more accessible, in my opinion, from this menu. It's a quick way of verifying who has access to your course when they last logged in, what role they have. It will also give you options to remove the user from the course if you need to. And you may also select any number of users here by checking off the name and then using the drop-down menu at the bottom of the page here to send a message to these users if you need to. Badges and competencies will not be available in the new release. You'll have to forgive me. Right now, our courseware is under development. We're doing our best to get it ready for you at the end of July. And one of the features, or a couple of the features that you will not see in that finished version, are the badges and competencies options here. Of course, grades will take you to your grader report and have all the grades options on the page. There have been a lot of improvements in the grade area of the course, and I'll go through those in detail in a moment. Your dashboard is a new feature in this version. It doesn't really have a lot of application for your students. However, as an instructor teaching multiple courses, it's an easy way to take a bird's eye view of the courses you are teaching. In my case, I only have one here. However, if I was teaching multiple classes or courses concurrently and had various assignments scheduled in each, they would be displayed here as upcoming events in each of those courses. I can click on the name of the course here to return to that home page, or in my navigation drawer, I also have a My Courses drop-down menu that will list all the course names, and I can click on one of those to return to my course homepage. The calendar is brand new in this version. There was a calendar in Navigate 2 Most folks wouldn't use it though because it was severely limited in its functionality in the Navigate 2 version, and I will be walking you through in more detail on this version's calendar in a moment. As I mentioned, you do have the My Courses drop-down menu here, enabling you to jump to different courses to which you have access without having to go back through the My Account page and launching from there. Across the top of the page here, for those public safety instructors who are familiar with FISDAP access will be placed at the top of the page here. This just happens to be a course that does not include it. For those who are familiar with FISDAP, this is where it will be located when you do get your new courseware. Your messaging center up here, just an easy way that you can send and receive and correspond with messages with students and correspond with students in the course. Your notifications center has been improved. This is where you can click on this preferences button, a little gear icon within the notification center, and set your notification preferences, how you would like to get notified based on which activity, and whether that be via email or a notification within your course. When you receive notifications, they will be displayed up here in this menu. And when you have verified all the notifications you've received, you can click the Mark All as Read to get rid of that flashing bell. Your profile options and profile menu will be found in this little mannequin image up here. This is where you can jump to your dashboard, see your profile, quickly access grades. This would be more applicable for a student. You can also access the messaging center from here. The important option to note here is the switch role to. As instructors, you would have been familiar using this in Navigate 2 as a little preview as button as part of the menu at the top of the page. That has been now moved to this profile drop-down menu, and it will take a couple more clicks. You just have to click switch role and then choose an option of the role you would like to masquerade as in the course. Typically, you'll use student, so you can take a quick look at your course through your student's eyes. One of the things you'll notice, or you may notice now, is that teaching tools topic at the top of the page has now been removed from sight. So your students do not have access to that teaching tools topic, which is exclusively available for instructors in this version. To return to your role, no need for several clicks, just one click in the menu and then click return to normal role. On the right-hand side of the course is another retractable menu. This menu will house your course blocks. Now, depending on your current Navigate 2 courseware, this may look different depending on what course blocks you were using in your Navigate 2 courses. And that's an important note. All those changes that you have made in your current Navigate 2 courseware, meaning all the files you have uploaded, all the assignments you've created, those will not go away. Rest assured, they will be automatically carried over into this new format and new user interface. By default, in this retractable course blocks menu, you will have available a brand new tool called Course Metrics or Student Engagement. This is only available for instructors, and it's an easy way that you can run a report on general course activity to capture student engagement or activity spent in the online courseware. If I click on that button, it'll allow me to specify a start period. I don't want to quite go back as far as 2016, so we'll start at the beginning of this year when this courseware was first being developed. And then an end period. You can specify when you want to end that time frame. Limit between clicks will control how you want your student activity to be broken out into sessions in the course. The default is set to 60 minutes. What this means is that if my student logs in the course, opens a test, for example, and then steps away, if they step away for more than 60 minutes, that means that when they return, that new activity that they start in that subsequent session will be recorded as a new and separate session. If you're unsure what these settings denote, you may click on those same question mark bubbles that were in Navigate 2 to give you more information about what the settings entail. When you're ready to run your report, you can click Calculate and then scroll down to see the results. At the top here, it will tell you total elapsed time in the report that you ran, total dedication time, meaning the total time that all your users have spent in the online courseware within that period, and then the average or mean. So the average time your students have spent during that time frame. It will then display each individual student and their total time or dedication or engagement in the course. You may click on an individual's name, and it will show you the individual sections of activity from that student. This is also downloadable in Excel. Okay, returning to the home page. Another default block you will find in this menu is upcoming events. By default, upcoming events will capture all scheduled assignments within a 3-week period and populate them in this course block. It's a good way of giving students a snapshot of upcoming events in the course. The activities block categorizes activities and course resources by type. You no longer have the Learning Tools tab in this version. However, the Activities block can be used to accomplish much of the same categorization and access of items. Course Administration is a full menu of the same Actions menu item that you find at the top of the page here. It's simply quick access for all the options within the course admin settings. The look and feel of the course content and navigating that course content, how it's structured and organized, has not changed too much from Navigate 2. As mentioned, what you will notice is Teaching Tools is now the first topic at the top of the page, and it is only visible and available to instructors. Students will not know this exists. And it is the only menu that remains, or only topic that remains in a drop-down format, meaning when you click on it, it will expand the contents in a list drop down below. This functionality has now changed in regards to content in individual topics that students will have access to. For example, if I open Chapter 2, instead of opening in a drop-down menu format as it would in Navigate 2, it brings me to a separate page where all that content is consolidated and displayed in a list format. With some visual improvements here, you'll notice that each item is differentiated by coloring. It makes them pop. We are also reintroducing icons in this version, which will help your students identify different content pieces. Scrolling towards the bottom, there are new navigation features here. I can jump to the next section. After I have completed Chapter 2, I can proceed to Chapter 3 material. You can also step backwards using the previous section button at the bottom of the page, and then use a convenient Jump To menu. Without having to go back to the home page of the course to go back out and then click on another topic, you can simply use the Jump To menu to jump to any section of the course in which you need to be. And a significant change in this version is that editing will no longer be turned on by default. Editing will be off each time you enter the course. When you turn editing on, all course content will be displayed in a list format and be ready to edit. One change that is important to note is that moving topics from one location to another is not as seamless, in my opinion, as it was in the Navigate 2 version. Because when you click and hold to drag and drop, it does not collapse the content in that chapter, it brings it with it. So you have to be very dexterous with your mouse hand to actually place this topic correctly. What I would recommend doing, rather than drag and drop, is a single click approach. All I did was click on that compass arrow, that move button, just once, and it brought up a map of all the topics in my course. So now I can move Chapter 2 Workforce Safety and Wellness to a different location by clicking on it. I can scroll up to the top of the page, turn editing off, and then verify my changes. You can narrow your scope of work after moving items from one topic to another or moving your topics around. You can narrow your scope of work by clicking on one single topic, turning editing on, and then only viewing that topic's content may make edits to just that one topic, module, or lesson. Now, if you're working within one topic, moving items with drag and drop is very simple. You may also use the one-click approach if you prefer, and it will only show you the scope of content within that one topic. If I move back to the home page and did so, it would show me the contents throughout the entire course. Changing naming on the fly is also incredibly easy in this version. I don't have to go to Edit and click Edit Settings to change the naming any longer, as I would in Navigate 2. In Navigate now, I can click on that pencil icon and simply make any changes I need to on the fly. Scrolling down, again with editing turned on, add an activity or resource will be found at the bottom right at the contents of the topic. If I return to the home page and I'm editing multiple lessons at a time, or let's say creating multiple quizzes for different sections of the course at the same time, that add an activity or resource option will be found at the bottom of each section or topic of the course where I may need to add that content. Given that topics and chapters open in dedicated content pages in this new version, some of the resources for organization and lesson building have taken on a little new meaning. For example, if I switch on editing mode as I am building out my lessons for Chapter 3, I can scroll down and see that I have a couple quizzes here. Naming is not important, so you can ignore that. But I can click Add an Activity or Resource, scroll down under Resources, and now use the Label feature can use a label of homework, bold it, make it large, easy for my students to see when they log in and open Chapter 3. Click Save and Return to Course. Scroll down where it's added at the bottom by default. Drag it up where I need to break out that content. So as my students work through Chapter 3 content, they'll reach the homework section, and then I can make it clear and obvious for them by using the Edit menu to the right of any homework activities I have created for them to indent them and make them display in line and as children of the homework section in my lesson. Another important change to note in this new Navigate is when I click Add an Activity or Resource and I look to add a quiz, the Navigate to Assessment option has been removed. You will only have one quiz option to use in this new system. Clicking Add, not much has changed in the way of building quizzes. The format and layout of options have been improved. For example, you'll see this Expand All option up here, and that's because I can click Expand All, and now each section of settings have been categorized and grouped in the quiz so that I can more easily adjust those settings without having to worry about all of them, or other settings rather that I may not be concerned with. Under Timing, you'll see the same timing sections or timing settings available. Likewise with the Grade section. Under Question Behavior, you will find that shuffling questions in the quiz is no longer here. It has in fact been moved onto the quiz editing page, which I'll point out in a moment. Other than the fact that these sections have been categorized and are collapsible, there have been no changes to the quiz settings page. If I click Save and Display, this button is misrepresented in this version, and I apologize for that. I can then click Edit Quiz and begin choosing my questions, as I would in Navigate 2. However, you'll now find that that shuffle option, as mentioned, is no longer in quiz settings, and it is found on the quiz edit page, and may be toggled on or off simply by checking or unchecking the box. To add questions, click on the Add button to the right here. You may create a new question from scratch to add. You may choose a question from your question bank, and you may still add questions at random. One important and significant change to note here is that in this version, you will now be able to see the body of each question in its entirety. Drop-down menu at the top of the page can be used to change your category that you're viewing. And now you will see the entire body of the question available before choosing it. Choosing questions involves the same process as it did in Navigate 2. And you may just find that it's a cleaner and more attractive look. You may have noticed me using the breadcrumb trail of links at the top of the page here. This was available in Navigate 2, however, given the tab navigation, it wasn't very heavily used. In this version, you may find the breadcrumb trail of links very, very useful, because as you get deeper into material in your course, and you just want to retrace a couple of steps, this breadcrumb trail of links can accomplish that for you. For instance, if I want to return to my course page, I can click Test and return here, where I can use my settings or actions menu here to edit the quiz settings further, to return to the edit quiz page if I need to preview it as an instructor, and to review any results and statistics. It is in fact the same menu that you're familiar with in Navigate 2, currently called the Assessment Admin menu. Moving on to the Gradebook. The Gradebook has undergone significant improvement. Instead of a drop-down menu for navigation of options, this has been changed to a tab and sub-tab layout. By default, you will land on the View tab and the sub-tab of Grader Report, where you will display all students and their item scores in a grid format. You will find that item naming and icons no longer bleed into each other or overlap. It's a much cleaner look and feel. Students' names on the left-hand side will follow as you scroll, as always, or as they did in Navigate 2. Gradable items across the top here will also remain static as you scroll up and down. While you may still turn editing on to edit student scores manually, a new single view tab option here makes editing and viewing grades extremely easy relative to Navigate 2. The single view tab provides two options in drop-down menu format. The first is to select a grade item. So rather than display your grades and gradable items in that grid format and have to scroll left and right to find those items, those have all been consolidated in a drop-down menu here in the single view tab. I may click on a single quiz, and it will display in a horizontal list my students and their corresponding scores for that selected item. I may also change or adjust scores manually as needed from this page. For instance, for John Smith, I can adjust his grade to a 90, assuming he earned some extra credit outside of the online courseware, and then click Save. Keep in mind the functionality of manual grade changing has persisted in this version, meaning that once you override or manually adjust a grade, a student may not change that grade by achieving a new score until you uncheck the override status for that student on this item. You may also use a second drop-down menu here to narrow your results to only a student's scores for all items in the course. So for example, I've just selected Lisa Adams, and now I may see her scores for each and every item in the course and manually adjust as needed for that one student at a time. The simple view will save you much time and likely aggravation as you scroll with editing turned on to find the student and activity that you would like to manually adjust the score for. So this is a nice addition to this version. The Gradebook Setup tab has been visually enhanced. You will no longer run into issues of using full or simple view. It is just one view that is limited to now the Setup tab. Extra credit will no longer be found on the Setup tab itself. For any item that needs to be given an extra credit status, that will be found in the Edit Settings page for that item. For those of you familiar with Gradebook Setup, if you are using subcategories within your gradebook, in this version it's a lot easier to discern where the sections begin and end, and to view what items belong in each section. It's an improved interface, an improved look and feel, which makes it easier to use overall. The same options of adding grade categories, moving your selected items, and adding a manually graded item remain unchanged. Let's take a look at the course calendar now. Remember, in Navigate 2, this was never an option. Now, all your events, in my case, attendance, manual reminder for my students, are displayed where I have them scheduled in the course. You have an events key on the right-hand side here, which you won't need to pay too much attention to. Many of these items won't apply to you, as most of your events will be limited to your course or users in your course. A monthly view snapshot will give you a pre-warning or a look into the future of when items have been scheduled and when activities are due for your students. At the top of the page, you do have a detailed month view option that you can use to view assignments scheduled in multiple courses or all courses if you do happen to teach multiple courses and have multiple concurrent assignments or activities occurring, or you may narrow it down to a single course. Navigate through your calendar by clicking the arrow button to the right or left at the top. And a feature of this calendar which makes changing items scheduling on the fly extremely easy is a drag and drop functionality. For example, I can see that my quiz opens on the 16th. Maybe my class are very smart and hardworking and they are ahead of schedule, and I need to change when this quiz opens on the fly. Formerly in Navigate 2, I would have to go into the quiz by clicking on it and then going into settings to change the date and time as needed within the quiz settings. In this version, if I'm just changing the day that the quiz opens or occurs, I can click and hold and drag and drop the quiz to reschedule it to a different date on the fly. I can also simply click in any date of my choosing to create a custom event. And this event will be posted on my students' calendar, and they will be notified. At the bottom of each contents page, you will find a Navigate footer displaying contact information for our technical support team via email or phone and the hours of their operation. You'll also find a link here to the training library. This is a brand new repository of resources online that are available for you and your students for just-in-time assistance and guidance through all the operations that were covered today and more. I thank you very much for taking the time to watch this tutorial on Navigate. We hope you enjoy what is coming your way, and we hope you're excited as we are to move into the newest version of our learning management system platform. Stay safe. Take care.